Points. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Broad Points Podcast. I am your host, the broad that points, the broad with the points. It's me, Tyler, the lady. Happy Mindfulness Monday to you one and all. I am so happy and proud to report that I have made it safely back to the desert. Yes, I am home. I am so happy to be here in my little safe place that I have carved out for myself in this wild, wild world, y'all. I did have a mostly good time, I would say, up in the Pacific Northwest. You know, I think that when there's a large gathering of anyone, there tends to be some drama or, drunken debauchery, which if you've been listening, you know, I don't drink. I haven't drank now in, we'll call it 4.5 years. I think it'll be 5 years this year in July. No, it's not, I think. I know. It'll be 5 years this year in July. July 21st is the day that I stopped drinking because it was just too much, you know? And my body didn't like it. My mind didn't like it. It was not good for me. I don't really believe it's good for anybody, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You know, if that's your vice, then by all means, as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting others, you can do what you please. I don't think that was fully happening on everyone's parts, but you know me here. We don't name names. We don't do that because I think overall we can see things that happen in particular scenarios. We can see the patterns across the time that we've been alive. You know, if it's something that is being repeated, or if it with a specific person, you know, or if it's even, you know, patterns across relationships, it's just good to be able to step back and gain that perspective and really decide how we want to respond to scenarios, right? Just taking responsibility for what we can control, because there are times when stuff is just out of your control. It just is completely out of your control, you know, so many variables, but there is always something that you have power over, right? Even if it's just your breath, you have power, right? You have power in this moment. You choose how to respond. And the power of I decide, right? It's I decide who I want to be around, who I want to be, who I want to be with, where do I want to go, when do I want to be there, why do I want to be there, why do I want to be doing anything, where do I want to go in my life, you know, and then in addition to that, how we decide how we respond. So all of these questions, we have so much power. Everything we do, whether that's, and you know, it's a conscious decision every single day for me to not take a drink. And I didn't ever think that I really had a problem, but now when I talk about it to the younger folks, they're like, oh, whoa, that's wild. I think my generation might have just been a little wild. We were the Project X generation. It was right around that time when that movie came out that me and all my friends just started going buck wild and just going off, and there's a lot of that in my family. You know, we do love to have a good time. We all love each other so much, even if we don't always like each other. And I think that, you know, can be said about a lot of relationships, right? We might love people deeply and, you know, hope the best for them, but we're not wishing for them to change. We don't always have to like them. We don't always have to agree with them. I think that's really important to recognize in human connection. But we also do get to decide, you know, in addition to how we want to respond, how much time we want to spend with these people. Right? So like, maybe it's your boundaries. You have to set boundaries with people. It's different for every single person, and it really does depend on your relationship and your encounters with that person and your mental health and your safety. Your safety is so important, and I think that it can get lost to, just being out there and needing stuff from outside of ourselves. And from, constantly trying to help other people, sometimes we leave our glass, empty. We leave our resources depleted. And it is so important to remember that we are cared for and that, we are loving ourselves and that we're making sure that we're safe. And so, that's what I continue to do. And that is what my whole, practice has been about. My life hasn't always been easy. It hasn't been rainbows and butterflies. And I haven't always talked about it. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to be able to share my journey and to tell you that, we get to choose. Just to remind you that we have power and that we are constantly shaping our world around us. We're constantly shaping what our life looks like and the goals that we want to reach. So let's jump in to the fundamental phrase for the week. This week's fundamental phrase is the seconds add up. The seconds add up. And I have been painting all these pictures lately. I'm so excited to be back in the desert, honestly, flying in. The sunset was so gorgeous. And, photos never do it justice. Like, honestly, that's why I feel so called to paint them all of the time, is because photos just don't do it justice. And so I really am excited and inspired by the flight in, by this whole trip. Honestly, the seconds add up. Every little thing that we do, even if it feels tedious or annoying or frustrating, like the seconds add up. The seconds add up, and before you know it, you're going to be finished with it. And, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety or you have something that you think is going to take a very long time, a good practice for this actually, other than time-lapsing a painting, one practice, not the practice I was going to tell you, but the one practice is just paint a picture, or just do a doodle and just record yourself via time-lapse and just watch it develop and just see how the time you put into something, it adds up. One thing you can do. Now, if you have an anxiety about a project and it's going to take you a lot of time, right? You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever to do. I'm going to be here all day. You can set a timer on your phone for 20 minutes. Yeah, for 20 minutes. And then when that 20-minute timer goes off, 20 minutes have gone by. And you just set another 20-minute timer. And just knowing, like, you're able to check off each time of like, oh, I finished that. I finished that 20 minutes. Another 20 minutes down. It really starts to, one, add up, but build that mental strength. Once we know we can do 20 minutes, we know we can do another 20 minutes. And then we start to see, our project being completed. Right? And I have projects that I do this with all of the time, not even just art related, but work related. It's, you dedicate the time on your schedule. It's so important to schedule your time and make sure like this is the time that I'm setting aside for this and just focus on it. Right? Like staring at that flame, like staying lit, we just focus on it. And something about setting that timer for when you feel like it's really going to take forever, it's just like a checkpoint. It's just like an acknowledge. You can celebrate. Maybe you have to go to the bathroom. Honestly, if you're looking at a computer, it's good to look far away, right? So if you're looking at a computer for 20 minutes, it's actually great for your eyes to then look far away for just 20 seconds. 20, 30 seconds, just look away, and then you can go back to work. And by doing that, you're actually strengthening your eyes as well. So, multiple things that can be integrated into practices just based on what you're experiencing in your life, right? And the first step of that, right, it is taking responsibility. There was a lot of blame and projection that gets spewed around in general. I was experiencing that over the last week, and it really allowed me to recognize how much progress I had made on my journey. Because I really did blame a lot of people for my problems. And, I think we need to remember that when we're blaming other people, when we're blaming other things outside of ourselves, right, we're pointing that finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back at us. Blame is projection. It truly, truly is. And if we don't like the way something is, we have to take responsibility to change it. We have to decide to make different choices. And one other thing is when people are coming at you sideways, it is so important to just stay true to you. Just stay calm. You don't have to elevate anywhere, right? You don't have to invest any time or energy into anything that you don't agree with. And just like last week when I said that you can't make sense of nonsense, you can't reason with the unreasonable. Right? There are some people who just are will just not be making sense. They'll be just unreasonable. They don't want to change. They don't want to do things. And you can't change anyone. I'm here to tell you, you can't change anyone but yourself. And by rooting down into yourself when other people are trying to press you, you're staying calm. You're staying at a lower level when people are yelling at you and getting in your face and threatening your well-being and your life. You don't have to threaten theirs. You don't have to snap back. We can try and gain some perspective. And if that is not possible, then you need to walk away. You need to say that this needs to end, and parties need to walk away. There is really no need for escalation, especially as adults. I got into a good amount of scuffles and fights, and I expressed a lot of anger in my youth. And the thing about, hitting other people is your knuckles end up bruised. When you hit someone, even if they don't get one hit on you, your knuckles end up bruised. And if the physical side of it is not enough for you, like I personally like to think that I'm a pretty decent human being, it would weigh on my conscience. And it does weigh on my conscience. And not heavily. I've forgiven myself and I've honestly apologized to people for the things that I've done in the past. But moving forward is all we can do. We can make amends. I know everybody in AA, and I'm not an AA person. Like I said, if you want to drink, you can drink. I don't care. I'm not like that. But they talk about making amends because a lot of the times when people are that messed up, they do messed up things. And so knowing your limit, it's so important, right? They talk about in general how you shouldn't have like more than 1 drink a day. Anyways, but just know your limits. If you're going to be drinking and you know that your body doesn't react well with it, your mind doesn't react well with it, maybe you shouldn't be drinking. Right? And it's a depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. It truly is, and people like to forget that. And it is very easy to because it's so socially acceptable. But we do have to remember that everything that we consume is medicine. And so we need to be mindful of our intake and our reactions. So that way we really can control how we're responding to the world around us, to what's happening, to when something is not what we want it to be, being able to communicate it in a reasonable tone and volume and altogether, physical appearance, right? Like we shouldn't be like threatening or physically, like we don't need to do that, right? We don't need to do that. And I try to teach that to my niece as well. My niece is 7 now. I got to make her cake. It was so beautiful. We did a chocolate and vanilla marble cake. So it was all marbled and swirly on the inside. And then I made a cream cheese frosting that we went ahead and did some piping on and did some edible glitter. So it was really shiny, and that was really fun. And then little pearls. So it was all blinged out. My dad always says that my sister is blingy. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful cake. It was a wonderful time to be there. And through all of the conflicts that I experienced, I'm so proud. And I think it's important to celebrate, my accomplishments, right? So I'm going to say I'm proud for the way that I responded. I'm proud that I stayed true to myself. I'm proud that I stayed calm. And honestly, the power of the breath. When people were getting in my face, it was just the power of the breath. Because people can try and take off and escalate things. But if you just stay calm, they can't force you to go anywhere that you don't want to go. So it was beautiful. I actually had a lot of practice with that when I was living in Alaska. There was a lot of very angry fishermen that would come up and yell at me. So I learned to not take shit, but I also learned to not escalate. De-escalating a situation is such an important skill to have. We do not always need to end up in brawls. We don't need to talk poorly about other people. We don't need to threaten people. We can just make decisions to be calm and be loving. And breathe, damn it. And breathe, right? And don't care about what others think. If they're thinking oh, you're scared, or oh, you're so you're not paying attention to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. All that matters is that you're staying true to yourself. You're taking care of yourself. Because once you start to take care of yourself, the whole world will start to take care of you. It really does feel like the whole universe starts to just work out in your favor. And I'm saying that because that is what I have been doing. I have been working so hard to change the inner monologue in my mind from being negative, angry, depressed, right? Hateful. I had so much blame in my heart. Nothing was my fault. It wasn't. And it was my choice to take responsibility for my actions, for my scenarios, for what had happened in my world. And it was my decision to start talking nicer to myself. Everybody else can talk shit about you in this world. There's so many people that can be against you. We need to be in our own corners. We're the only person who is going to be in our corner 100% of the time. So why wouldn't we want that voice to be a positive one, to be a motivating one that's not telling us about how ugly we are, but instead how beautiful we are, about how fabulous our hair looks, how glowing our skin is, how beautiful our eyes are. There are so many compliments that we can give to ourselves that we then start to see in the world. And honestly, technology to me is just so disgusting. And filters to me are very aggravating to me. And I've always kind of been a no filter queen, except for when it's artful and abstract. However, nowadays, people are using these filters nonstop, and it is absolutely ridiculous because I feel like they lose touch of reality. When you're using filters and you never see yourself in a regular picture and you don't compliment yourself on a regular basis, it is so easy to think that you're ugly when you're comparing yourself to something that does not exist. Filters, social media, it is such a distraction from reality. It is honestly why I have said so much poor stuff about it. And I just see it, bleeding out across generations. I see it in people who are talking poorly to themselves. And I'm here to tell you all, if it's you, it's okay. I have been there. I have done that. It even still creeps up from time to time. However, anytime it does, we have the power to make a conscious decision to say no, to say, like, let's do something else. Oh, okay, that's one way we could think about it. Or we could focus on a positive thing. And one of my dance instructors is, she says, anytime you're looking at yourself in the mirror, find one thing that you like about yourself and just focus on that. If it's your eyebrows, if it's your toe, whatever it is, focus on that and just allow yourself to feel that confidence, to feel that joy, to feel that love. Because no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, you're beautiful and you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be cared for. And honestly, nobody else but you can do that to the full capacity that it needs to be done. And so that's why I'm here, promoting taking responsibility, taking accountability. We can be active participants in this life. We don't have to live in our traumas forever. I'm here to tell you, I've been through trauma. I've been through a lot of things. That does not define me. It does not define my life. It does not define my future. It does not define where I'm going. All it's done has provided me with lessons that I have taken and applied to my life so that I don't keep seeing the same pattern. And honestly, a prime example of taking care of yourself and the world will take care of you was after this whole debacle, this whole disagreement, this whole thing where someone was just really being in my face. I stayed calm the whole time. I just talked like this. Honestly, I just was talking like this and just trying to understand what was happening. And once I realized it was nonsensical, I was like, okay, you need to back off. And then we just moved right along and I just continued to have a good time with my family and just because I wasn't there for that. I'm not there for that. I'm there for the people that want to just love each other and be happy and tell stories and play games and like not be drama. Like there's no need, right? We could just love it. We never see each other. Like we're here for love. We're here for fun. And so that's what I did. And then the next morning I had like 100 reasons to not go on a walk. Every day while I was gone, I started my day with a walk because I truly believe that by taking care of yourself, the world will take care of you. And so in that moment, I was like, I don't want to go. It's cold. I'm really upset with how things went last night. Like, I didn't get enough sleep. Like, it's just so many things were just working against me here. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. All of those things going against me even more. There were so many things and I was just like, I don't want to. I can't do it. I don't want to. And then I was like, no, I do want to because this time is for me. This is the only time that I truly have alone to really dial in who I am and how I want to respond. And I believe that's why I was able to stay so calm in such a heated moment. And the next day when I decided to walk, it was so crazy. I go all the way up there and I go to the coffee stand and I've been there every single day at this point. And so the girls know my order, and 2, I got a free drink. On the day that I didn't want to do it and the day that I chose to do it anyways. The universe gives me exactly what I want for free. It was like I was just so able to just celebrate my win, to just recognize that I was exactly where I was supposed to be and just allow it to just look back and just see the lessons and find even gratitude in that. To find gratitude for all of the work that I've done, for all of the seconds that have added up of putting in this work. I didn't give in and I stayed true to me. And so with that, staying true to me, I did wear my Zero boots out there. I did. I had some extra tough boots too. I had to give to one of my cousins because he wore his Crocs out there in the snow. It probably snowed like a foot the entire time we were there. And my 12-year-old cousin had his Crocs and socks on. I was like, no way, dude. You're going to get frostbite. So, I gave him my extra toughs and I wore my Zero boots. I did indeed, my Breckenridge boots. I wore those out in the snow. It was a good time. out there in those. And if you would like a pair for yourself, you can buy them and simultaneously pay me via my Zero Shoes affiliate link. It is zeroshoes.com/go/Tyler the Lady. And if you would like to reach out to me, maybe you want to talk, maybe you've experienced some similar things, and now you're having some insights, you want to share that, I would love to hear about it. You can follow me on social media. Send me a DM. Maybe you don't even want to follow me. Maybe you just want to send me a DM. I don't know why you would listen to this and not follow me, but hey, live your life. Live your life. At Broadpoints is my one Instagram, and the other is at Tyler the Lady. And if you would like to email me, maybe you have a saga, maybe you want to put some attachments. I don't know what even is possible, honestly, in Instagram. I just learned how to do looping on photos on the iPhone, which, I just don't pay attention. I don't keep up. I honestly don't care. Technology is mostly trash. But if you do want to email me, I will read it and reply. broadpointspodcast@gmail.com. Now, one more time with that fundamental phrase for the week. The seconds add up.